and welcome to Sim.bc, where right now is 16:54 in the afternoon, yet again moving closer to that 5 o'clock mark. That is even closer to the 7 o'clock mark when I've said that I'm going to record these things, but you know what I'm saying, I used to, I like to be in the advance, so every day before 7 o'clock, that's a win in my book. And I have some special news to share with you all today, for about, what do you say, since August, late August of last year, so about, what should we say, 6 months now, I've been making videos in isolation, because I don't want to share it with anyone. Why don't I want to share it with anyone? Well, because I've had this irrational fear, right, that I was gonna drop everything that I was doing if if it were to come out and anybody would see it, because it would probably be the cringiest thing in the world. And just imagine, if you think it's cringy, you future viewer, then just imagine me sitting and talking to myself in my bedroom with nobody else here to a microphone. Now, who do you think has the most cringiest situation? Think about that for a while. But I am thinking of stepping out of this way of isolation on Saturday, and I know the Saturday's news recap probably will not be able to cover that, because I think that I will have done that video before I'm going out public with it. And when I'm saying public, I'm going to, well, at least I'm thinking right now that I'm going to make a pre-release event kind of thing on Saturday, because I'm going to pitch my business, the business side of this channel, the business consultancy side, to a place called Science Park, which is basically a help you start up your own company-ish thing as a student. In Sweden, they help you a lot, and I think they're quite international as well, and they're connected with companies. But the thing is that I've gotten in contact with them, I've scheduled a meeting, and I have this huge and long history of the company as it has existed, and I have all of these different things I want to do, but still I thought, well, the more brainstorming the better, right? The more cooks the better, or something along those lines. That's probably a Swedish saying, and that doesn't work in English. But hence, if I'm going to meet with some people and brainstorm about the company before the meeting with the Science Park group, then I'm probably going to go out public with, well, this little project right here as well. Well, only the thing that people heard that I sang at a bar 3 months ago now was enough to make me feel like, oh, this is too much attention in real life. I can't take it. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll release that this exists. Maybe I'll show them that it exists. Maybe I won't. We'll see. But that is not why you're here today, now is it? No, you're not here to hear about my problems, about my releasing schedule issues, and if I'm going to go public with this channel, even though it's public on YouTube, but am I going to actively, aggressively, right, market it towards my friends that I've so, well, what you would say, so effortlessly trying to hide this channel from? Why? Well, because I can't take the attention. Even if there is no attention given to me, even if I go out there and people are gonna say like, we don't care, they still know that it exists, and I will see the view count, stacking up probably, because they're gonna go in making it to a bit of a drinking game, and because of YouTube's algorithm, I'm not gonna say drinking game, whatever beverage that you have, but every time you cringe, you're probably gonna take a bit of a sip, right? And if you're the only one who doesn't cringe, well, then everybody else have to finish their drinks. Just an idea, mates. But no, that's not why you're here. You're not here to hear me talk about that and whine about that. You're here to continue with the project, and I'm sorry for stalling, mates. But today we're going to talk about that trade-off. And what trade-off am I talking about? Well, as you know, we've been setting the stage, right? That we're talking. Oh, we're gonna see. Yeah, it's correct. Good. I thought I had the microphone in the wrong setting, and I was like, oh, 9 days. That's 4 minutes to wait. But as you all know, we have been starting talking about the founder's problem, the idea that you can put in as much time as you want to in a company, because it's your company, so it will benefit you in the end of things. The idea that 20% of the idea, well, it's just the idea. The other 80% is putting in the time, and how you're putting in the time, how you're executing the use of that time. And when we were talking about that yesterday, we were kind of talking about this trade-off between passion and business, and that is what we are going to focus on today, because the follow-up is that if you're working with something that if you start up something, a project, like my project here for instance, you start with something that you're quite passionate about. I like school, so it's only natural that I would, forward the information that I have gathered in school. I like talking, so it's only natural that I talk. But it's just this idea that you're taking something that you're very passionate about and now you're turning it into a business. And what tends to happen, it's unfortunate, or rather, I'm not going to say it tends to happen, but I'm going to say this instead. This could happen. This is a potential problem yet again that we're taking up with a founder, that you have something that you're really passionate about. For me, for instance, then, let's say that I'm sitting down and talking for 10 to 15 or 10 to 20 minutes every day in front of a computer screen. Well, now that is actually true, and has been for the last 6 months. But is that purely a passion from my point of view, or do I see this more as of a business? And I can say honestly, right, that in the beginning it was pure passion, and then for a while it was pure business, because I was thinking like, oh, this is marketing, I'm marketing the business, whatever, whatnot. It's 10 videos, I'm already running out of ideas. And from that point onwards, I think from video 11 to 24 I had that problem, and then it just, I stepped over the hurdle and it was all good, and I just found the balance, at least that I've been using so far, right, from passion and the sense of I'm actually doing something, because this is a business after all. It is something that I need to do. I need to, the self-discipline needs to be there in order for me to actually make videos. But the idea here that I'm trying to convey, that I'm trying to boil down to, is that if you are a very passionate founder and you're very passionate about something, you need to take into consideration that this is what you're going to work with. That means that it's going to be really hard, and I know that I've talked about this before on the channel, to distinguish between what is your work life and what is your social life, because it can be the case that those two things meet together. Because, for instance, I like studying, as I've said, and I like business, and I'm kind of doing business through YouTube right now. I'm doing business in school, and then outside of that, let's say on my own free time, I like to read business news, and I like to read up on business. That's why I can make this YouTube thing going. And it's really hard for me to understand or to really bridge the gap between what is my school life, which is yet again my main occupation, what is my YouTube life, and what is my own social life, what is my own leisure time, or however you want to say it. What is my actual time? And this is yet again the trade-off you need to make between passion and a business. If you're working with something that you're really passionate about, it tends to happen that it kind of infiltrates your personal life in a way that makes it so that, well, you're always working around the clock and all of the time. And yet again, this is kind of what we've been touching on over the last 2 days, that we're probably going to continue talking about, because yet again, this idea that it's something that consumes you. You live and breathe your business. Why? Because, well, you're probably passionate about it, so you don't mind doing it. But once you don't mind doing it, it's probably taking up a huge part of your life and just overshadowing everything else there is to it. See what I'm saying here? So there's no coincidence that I sit and talk for 10 to 20 minutes every single day in front of a computer screen. It's not a coincidence. It's because I love doing it. But yet again, I've been having to force to meet this challenge of, well, a day might come when I start making money out of this. And for most companies, this will probably be way earlier than for me, that I'm 6 months in. I can still produce at the same rate, probably have increased the rate of production that I have, and I still don't make any money from it. But that's just because this is more passion than business from my point of view, even though there's a business side to it. But let's say that you're making something else, right? You're making cars. You need to be able to understand that in the beginning, you put in the effort because you're passionate about making cars. And then after a while, you're not as interested in car production anymore. You think more that, well, I could sell this company if I was able to. It was fun in the beginning to start a company, but now I really want to get out. And what would make you feel like this? Well, it probably is because you just overworked yourself. You're burned out on the subject. You're burned out on the idea. It started out as a huge passion, I'm sure, but now you've been working with it, and you've been forcing yourself to work with your passion more so than you've actually worked with your passion. And that's quite abstract and arbitrary, so I'm going to try and break that down a bit for you. So the idea here that I'm trying to convey is that you're working with something that is your passion, but the more you work with it, and the more times you work with it when you don't really want to work work with it because it's your business, the more it's going to feel like any old job out there and less like your own passionate startup. So that is the trade-off that you need to make as a founder. Not only do you need to take something that you're very passionate about, because you need to do that so that you actually take it from an idea to time, the time input that needed. But and then you start working with it. You not only need to take something that you're very passionate about because of that reason, but you also need to keep in mind that this passionate thing of yours, this passion of yours might be, what was it, traded for a work experience. So this, which you feel a very strong emotion for and a very strong connection to, might become your livelihood, which means that you sometime will need to do this even though you don't want to do this. A good example of this, I argue, is lots of musicians who have stopped making music. I can't come up with anyone in the top of my head, but I guess that you're in the comment section will come up with that for me. Not that I'm giving out my content creation, you know, I'm not like PewDiePie. Original content and all of that. No, but I'm just saying that I've seen so many cases over the year where there are artists who are totally burned out because the record labels that they're working for have been saying to them that, well, you signed a contract here and you need to produce a song, and the artist is more like, well, we've already produced like 15 labels this year. Do I need to produce any more? It feels like I'm not giving it all into the music. I'm not putting my heart into my music anymore. Now it's more a corporate music. It's industrialized music, and I don't like it. It's taken away from the passion and my love for actually doing music. And that's something bad, of course, but it's still something that is happening. People are, or rather corporations are burning out passionate people, kind of taking advantage of their passion, so to say, in order to well, produce something that's really good in the beginning and then just milk that cow until it's, well, out of commission. The same thing kind of goes for your passion as a founder, or at least there is a possibility, or rather a risk, that this could happen. That I start with something that I love, talking, for instance. I mean, I can never shut up in a regular conversation. People need to actively say that, be quiet. The other people need to talk. See what I'm saying? Well, except for in class, because in class, well, then you have a teacher who says, anybody who asks any questions, and everybody's sitting there like, no, I'm probably just gonna look up at the ceiling and not do anything, right? Oh, well, sorry, I had a bit of an alarm going off there, so I had to make a break for it, even though I'm talking raw material, raw footage right here, right now. But fortunately enough, we only had the ending left. And what we're going to end this point on is that the idea that if you're moving into a founder's problems, as I say, or rather, if you're moving into founding your own business, and you're founding it on the basis that you're having quite a strong passion, that you feel quite passionate about, you have an idea that is unique or just good in general, you're riding the wave maybe of a new social trend, and you have a good execution and you're able to put in the time, then just keep in mind, and this is not necessarily something that is going to happen, just going to stress that again before we end, or as we're approaching the end of this video, this is not necessarily going to happen, but just keep in mind that it could be the case that your passion is going to turn into your job, and hence making it less fun for you. So basically what I'm trying to say is that the experience might be turning in from a passion of yours to a livelihood of yours, making it something that isn't quite as interesting as you thought from the beginning. Well, that was a bit what should we say? Well, that was a bit rough of an ending, with the alarm going off, with me just, thinking about, how should I round this video off? But that was everything for me today, mates. I hope that you understood this idea of trade-off between passion and actual work life, and how this can affect one another. Unfortunately, when it comes to a founder that puts in all of the time and just get burnt out directly from the first week, it's a miracle that I've been able to, stick with this for so long without being bored, and actually just feeling more and more intrigued for every day that goes forward, until I potentially tell people about that this thing exists, then they will start looking at it and start commenting on it, and I will be like, I'm probably gonna stop now. But we'll see what happens, mates. We'll see what happens. Anyway, have a good one, mates. And we're going to continue with something that I unfortunately can't access right now. But I have lots of points, mates, up until like 10 days in advance. So I'll see you tomorrow. Have a nice one, mates. See ya.